Hello friends, thanks so much for joining us here at Non-Toxic Home. We're continuing in our study on Pharmakeia Revealed in Deuteronomy 28. Please go grab your Textus Receptus Derived Translation and study with us. We are in verse 28 and we got part of the way through verse 28 and technology acted up a little bit. The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. One thing that I neglected to mention in regards to the madness or insanity part was that it is utterly insane to believe that injecting toxins into your body is going to protect you from disease. That is utterly insane.
Your body is literally designed to take foreign things and attack them to get rid of them. And the thinking that injecting something into your body that will take that into hyperlapse is a good thing. That's just stupid. Mm-hmm. Your body is already naturally going to, if it's in an environment that is toxic, it's already naturally going to try to fight that off. So that's what it's.
Well, the problem is that people are so full of toxins that their body can't fight anything off. And also they have no immune system because they lived in a sanitized environment for most of their lives. And so that's a problem as well. That and then the snake bites in general that you get from birth, those also destroy the immune system. That was why I ended up with immune system issues because of that when I was a baby.
It's very interesting the protocols, the COVID protocols that are out there. I don't know that they're everywhere, but sanitizing before, during, and after everything. You're doing that. You're injecting toxins. You're destroying your immune system, and that's what the protocols are designed to do. Now that she says that, but she was talking about so we're in 28. The Lord shall smite thee with madness, blindness, and astonishment. I deal with the astonishment. Well, I deal with all of it, but I don't really talk in public to people about the blindness part because I would probably never be hired for anything if I did that. But I deal with the madness,
insanity,
and the astonishment. That comes up in every job, literally. People are just so surprised that people aren't doing their. When will people ever do their jobs again? Somebody's got to do something about this world and about the fact. I mean, I've got a client right now who's dealing with insurance, and she doesn't quite understand that people don't do their jobs. You need to expect people not to do their jobs, and that this world needs to become a better place. That's a common thing that I hear all the time. And I approach that by saying, just assume people aren't going to do their jobs. Assume that the level of ineptitude that you're dealing with, assume that's going to continue. Because are you going to accomplish anything right now thinking that this person's going to do their job? And I have to approach things myself that things aren't going to do their job. I mean, this job has insurance attached to it. First time I've ever dealt with that. And I had to deal with it in a way that I took insurance out of the equation in dealing with the client as far as the money part goes. And she was shocked, but she understood because the insurance lady was not communicating at all. It took a while for her to communicate. It took a lot of phone calls. It took a lot of effort to get her to realize that we needed her to communicate. So astonishment, it's time people to understand that the world has changed. The world is getting dumber. People are being encouraged not to work. There's literally businesses out there to teach people how to deceive their bosses. It's not going to get any better. It's not supposed to. So being astonished by that, don't.
Well, so astonishment here means I don't think that that's a problem for our audience. That's not a problem for our audience. If they're listening to Pharmakeia Revealed, they know that the world's gone to hell.
Probably true, but it's just we share on here things we deal with, and I deal with it. It comes up more often than you would think, that people actually think that people are going to get better about doing their jobs, and that products are going to get better, and all that.
Yeah. So astonishment here means bewilderment or confusion. People are still confused. Why did God allow COVID? Have you read about the first seal? Have you read Revelation? Have you read the Olivet Discourse? Have you studied at all about the beginning of sorrows? Because it's very clear we are in the beginning of sorrows. I mean, there's just more evidence by the day that when I'm studying, more evidence by the day that we are. But astonishment, people are confused, they're bewildered. There's wars over here all the time on the news, and now they're talking about civil wars, and the government's falling apart, and people now the right and the left in the U.S. have threatened insurrection, and people are so confused. But why the food shortages? Why are they talking about famine here and there? Why are there wildfires everywhere? Why is prophecy coming to pass? I mean, of course they're not saying that because they don't study, because they don't know. They just listen to their local false prophet and blindly believe them. Because right here in the two words before, blindness, God struck them with spiritual and religious blindness because they were already disobedient. This is the punishment for them for being disobedient. So, and this is astonishment of heart. It's coming from deep within them because they don't have the peace that passeth understanding.
And apparently, the blindness off of what she was just talking about. Apparently, drought in some areas is so bad that farmers are burning up their crops and destroying them because they're not going to produce by the time harvest comes around. It's just been so dry, they're just not, it's not even worth it.
Yeah.
And I guess that percentage is up from I guess it was 24% last year, and it's 37% this year.
And
so
it's gonna increase every year.
Almost half.
It's going to increase every year. And here, for example, if it's not squishy from it raining, if it's real rain, and basically flooding, because we don't generally get nourishing rain. We just get deluges. Like God just opens up the window to the waters above, and it seems. And so if we're not in the middle of that, or the property isn't draining from that, then we are in a drought. And of course, a lot of what they're spraying in the skies is are chemical desiccants, and desiccants dry things up. 5G, of course, also impacts oxygen, and the oxygen molecule in what is water, chemically speaking, H2O. And so it removes the oxygen molecule. And so we have a very small pond, and then we have two super tiny frog pond. And our frog pond is almost out of water, and there's less water by the day. Even if we get water, what's going on?
There's a tree that we have out there that's got, looks like rusty looking leaves on it.
Well, it could be rust because, we have had rust problems with some of the plants, but I think it's probably more of a drought issue. Don't know what kind of trees they were that dropped their nuts in July this year. And I looked it up, and I went, what in the world? We don't have trees that drop their nuts in July ever. And I looked it up, and yeah, if there's drought, then if they're stressed from drought, they'll drop their nuts early. And So that's happening. Some of the trees, as you just mentioned, their leaves are changing, and we're recording this August 20th. So don't know when I'll get this up, but here in Indiana, the leaves should not be changing at all yet. Yeah, we should have 100% greenery outside.
We have approximately 30 to 32 days of summer left. So fall doesn't happen until the 20th, September 20th or 22nd. So that is when the trees should start thinking about changing.
Right, and we live in a wooded area, and one thing to note about areas with a lot of forests is that forests actually produce their own rain because they are naturally moist, because the trees and all of the leaves and everything, all of the vegetation helps to conserve the moisture, and so they literally produce their own weather. They produce rain for themselves to an extent. That's not happening anymore, really, because between the chemicals that are desiccants and the microwave frequencies, things are just too dry even for that, it seems. So we'll see. So even when there used to be droughts, the forests were still okay, usually.
And what's interesting is, I mean, the grasses around here, they're green.
You're right. That is weird, because I hate grass. But yeah, it's totally green. It's not brown at all. But the trees, the bushes, the garden plants, none of the weeds. I don't think I've noticed any of the weeds.
Weeds are very happy.
Yeah, I don't think I've noticed anything with any of the weeds.
I've got a lot to deal with weeds. So.
Yeah, but they're all drying up. So.
We seriously have I'm working on trying to get a client their kitchen back, but. I have a lot to do with weeds when I get around to it. They are very happy.
The weeds are happy, yeah. That's why I encourage strongly to learn about foraging in your area.
And not just she planting what she calls wild edibles.
Yep. Verse 29.
Verse 29, she says there's a lot to this, I think. Mm-hmm. And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. Thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. Oh, it was 30 that I was looking at before.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, so verse 29, they're going to grope at noonday. That's figurative. But it means that they're figuratively staggering, trying to find their way through the new normal, trying to figure out how to navigate this brave new world. But people are blind. They'll grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, because they are mentally and spiritually blind. That is the fulfillment of prophecy right there, and we're seeing that people are completely blind. They have no idea what's going on. They're just confused, as in the previous verse. They're deep within. They are bewildered and confused as to what's going on in the world.
I can't imagine being a person of this world who hasn't studied all this to understand why everything is happening. I can't imagine being a professional in this world and trying to navigate and tell people what's going on. The craziness and the insanity of it all. I just can't imagine not knowing this and trying to be in the mind of someone who's trying to navigate all the craziness in the world. I mean, excuse me. It is, there are people who are by surprise just going off the deep end, and it's just can't imagine trying to navigate this world and not know the actual truth.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they're in darkness, as the blind gropeth in darkness. They're in spiritual blindness. Mm-hmm. Thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. So it won't succeed. Things are going to get harder. It has just gotten progressively harder for me anyway since March 2020 just to get anything done. And it seems like my to-do list just gets 20 items longer every day. And I'm just on a treadmill trying to get anything done. And I feel like nothing ever gets done. What?
But my encouragement to her always and every day and all of these things is that she is the glue. I do, the projects that I do are bigger. They take days, weeks, months to complete, and there is physical evidence after it's been done. She helped with a roof and got to see physical evidence. That's the kind of thing that I see all the time. But these things on her to-do list that keep her on this hamster wheel, i.e., she shovels crap all the time. She feeds animals. She feeds a human, 2 humans. She keeps all the animals and humans going. I wouldn't be able to do the big projects that I do if I was hungry. She makes sure that supplements are ordered. She makes microwave sickness stuff. All of these things all these little things that keep things humming, keep things going. She does those things. Those are by definition, those are literally. I mean, if you guys know what a hamster wheel is, a hamster just keeps running, going around, and keep them busy for a while. But each one of those little wheels is a different thing. I mean, there's laundry, there's prepping and processing and making food. Those are three little steps in that process. There's shoveling crap, there's feeding animals, there's keeping the garden going, which feeds a client and occasionally us, and there's
preserving food.
I'm trying to put a picture of a little thing on each step of that hamster wheel. I mean, there's probably 50 little things on a hamster wheel, but those are all little things that keep things going. And I call her the glue because if those things don't happen, certain aspects of, I know that when we are out of microwave sickness stuff, I notice it, and there have been days literally when I have gone down because I just can't deal, and my day is done at 1 or 2 o'clock, and that's because that microwave sickness stuff wasn't there, and my body just can't handle it anymore. So when she says that it's a hamster wheel, I call it the glue because I'm starting to make.
You keep running into me.
Oh, I thought she was getting emotional.
No, I'm moving away from you.
But a lot of little steps that don't look like there's anything happening where actually there is, because the animal's living place would be horrendous if it wasn't for her. My abilities to do my jobs wouldn't be possible without things that she does to keep those things going. So she calls it a hamster wheel. I call it glue.
Okay, can I finish?
Yeah, I want to make it clear that she has an appreciative hubby.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that very much. I think your point is made. But what I'm trying to say is that regularly we're having to add more and more and more things that must be done in order to keep us going at all.
Yep.
And so that is not going to stop. Yep. Because the frequencies are going to continue. The stupid SpaceX launches of the dirigibles are not going to stop, because now you've got other countries and other corporations, multinational corporations, in on it as well. Yep. And they're not going to stop spraying in the sky either, until God says, okay, you're going to stop. I'm done with that. And he destroys all the airplanes.
Yeah, there's probably there's at least a handful, if not more, companies out there launching things. And I would hope that at some point in the next few years that the large projects will get smaller.
What are you talking about? What large? You mean the projects that we are working on, like our house?
Just large projects in general. I'm guessing they're going to get smaller.
What large project? Are you talking about business-wise?
Business-wise, for clients. I mean, we have
what you were talking about?
Large projects.
Well, we were talking about SpaceX and corporations. So, you're not talking about the projects of corporations.
No.
Okay.
Can I finish?
Yes.
Can I get through this? We were saying that there are many corporations that are in this race to get a space fence up. There are many that are involved, and they are making, and the spraying in the sky, it's all making things harder. We are constantly looking for different remedies for different things. And what I'm saying is that keeping us going is getting harder, but I may be able to help with those smaller projects as the larger ones get complete. I mean, we have a house we're dealing with, we have a tiny home that we're dealing with. There are large projects that are going on, and clients come up with projects occasionally that keeps things busy. Those things we will get our house done. We will get her house done. Those things, once those are complete, they're projects that are done.
Right, I get it.
And if it's in a year that those get complete, that frees up time for me to help with doing the smaller things, okay, and maybe even the finding remedies.
Okay, I intended for this to be a 30-second thing, not a 10,
I love you.
15. Okay, but things will get. Sorry.
There's a lot to say there.
Okay, so things will continue to get harder. Just because we are hopefully of the elect or remnant, it doesn't mean we're immune to what's happening in the world, because we're here. We're here. Thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. Thou shalt be only being surely oppressed. Oppressed, you'll own nothing and be happy. Tyranny will increase. The New World Order will establish itself. You cannot stop prophecy. Oppressed here means oppressed, defrauded. So we've seen a whole lot of fraud, haven't we?
Yeah.
Nothing but fraud from Pharmakeia, really.
And I literally just am experiencing how insurance companies are handling fraud. Mm-hmm. And you literally have to take progress pictures now for the insurance lady to know that the money that they're sending to their client is being used for the project. It's just, they don't just throw you $25,000 or whatever and say go for it. Mm-hmm. They used to. Back in the day, that's what they used to do, and people would take that money and run. That's fraud.
Yeah.
And it's just, if there is a way we learned about the self-checkout fraud. I mean, wow. If it is a new thing.
Oh yeah.
If it is a new thing, if there is a new development, a new technology, someone out there is going to find a way to make it a way to have fraud.
Yeah, apparently there is a quote from that article about self-checkout fraud saying that, from someone who does it, who says, if anyone who's paying for everything they buy from the store is just an idiot or something, mm-hmm, like that. That is the world in which we're living in. Mm-hmm. That is the world in which we are currently residing in, and that is very telling of the society in which we are living in.
And everybody's at home working remotely. Mm-hmm. And there's nobody in the stores, so they only have 10 checkout lanes and one person to man things. And I don't know if it's that way everywhere, but right. Wow, it's just that stuff blows my mind just a little bit.
And so the thou shall be only oppressed and spoiled evermore. So oppression's going to continue. It's not going to stop. And fraud is going to continue. It's not going to stop. Oppressed and spoiled. Spoiled means take away by force. So that means basically that people's rights are going to be taken away. And that's already started. I mean, you didn't have the right to make your own medical decision regarding whether to suffocate yourself in 2020. And that's the case, I think, California, on and off and on and off, and New York State, on and off and on and off, as to whether you have to wear them or not. But that should be a personal medical decision. That should not be something that a self-professed expert says, you got to do this or else. Because medical decisions are always individual, but because we are moving into a complete technocratic state, medical decisions and rights will continue to be made impersonal and one size fits all. And so Mayo Clinic is declared to be the best of the best of the best, and I went there, and we went there in 2012, August of 2012, and it's a technocracy. It is literally a technocracy. That's it. It's what you do, what the computer tells you to do. And the doctor does what the computer tells the doctor to do.
And believe it or not, this project I'm working on is also, insurance is also a technocracy, at least with this company, where you take pictures, they put what they see in the pictures into a computer, and the computer tells them how much how much it should cost to and how much time it should take to finish that. Me as the and I'm still not used to being called a contractor, but me as the contractor, they don't care what my estimate is. They haven't asked. All I'm to look at a report that a computer spits out and agree with it or disagree with it, and that is technocracy. The Mayo Clinic, we went there and they put her symptoms into a computer, and it popped out a schedule just like you do when you go to college. And if you don't fall within the tiny little boxes that have been constructed in this computer system, then they got nothing for you.
Yep.
That is literally what happens there.
Yeah. So spoiled, further in this word specifically, it means taking wells. Like this word specifically in the Hebrew means taking someone's well. What do you get from a well? Water.
Oh.
Water. So the water supply here in the United States is incredibly controlled. I don't know elsewhere in the world. I honestly just don't know. But for the most part here in the U.S., your water is controlled. And they are literally taking the water from aquifers, from lakes, ponds, ocean. Well, ocean isn't quite as relevant, but by utilizing desiccants in the sky, and by using the microwave frequencies, they are taking the water from us. And also in some areas, it is illegal to collect rainwater. So that is stealing the water. Also means spoiling. This word in Hebrew means also taking people's children. And so if you send your child to the Rockefeller-cation establishments here in the United States, they are stealing your child's soul, really. If you really look at the curriculum and what they're learning, they are taking your child's soul. If you have a child here in the United States that has a birth certificate, then hold on. Okay, then legally the state has the right to take that child at any time. And I used to be in social work. I used to deal with CHINS cases, child in need of services. That means children who were abused, neglected, or otherwise deemed to be in need of services of the state. And the system is very, 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 very broken and corrupt and evil. However, there needs to be something in place, because child abuse and child neglect does indeed happen. I dealt with it. I've seen it. And a lot of people who speak against the system don't understand that child abuse is a problem. It's a huge issue. Child neglect is a huge issue. There needs to be something in place to address it. But this word here, spoiled, going to take your kids, going to take your houses, going to take personal property.
As an added note to that, there are, and you probably see them as you're out driving around and such, but there are more and more apartment communities where they are 5 and 6 stories tall, and you have restaurants. Basically, you have a city within an apartment community. It's designed specifically so that you do not have to leave.
Yes.
You can get absolutely everything that you need there. They want you to be on top of each other. They want you to rent, because by 2030, say these New World Order people, you will own nothing and be happy. Of course, our God is in complete control of this, but if you've noticed any new legislation that's come out, it's the date keeps popping up at 2030. So she and I find that interesting.
Yeah.
But apartment communities are more and more being designed so you do not have to leave them, and that is not by accident.
That is a New World Order apartment.
It is.
Yes.
And they are creepy feeling. I've been in one.
Yeah.
I have been in one, and I was the top candidate for that particular place, and I turned the job down because it just made me feel wonky, creepy.
And we were brokety broke. We really needed the money. But but we talked about it, and I said, well, if you can't hardly function just for the interview,
yeah,
because it feels so wrong to you. And at that time, I don't think we knew I don't think we had this knowledge about basically New World Order apartments. And so it was a gut feeling. It was how your body and your mind felt.
So we only learned what we know now and stuff, and starting in, I think she started learning it in 2019, but we really full force started learning about things in 2020. Before that, we have always been a family that we went on gut feeling. We had a moral compass of what was right, what was the right thing, what was the wrong thing, and that is how we functioned from the time we started dating to the time we were married, and up until 2019, 2020. Up until then, now we know the truth. We can see what the Bible has to say about things, and we can see it in the world. But back then, it was a moral thing. We knew moral compass and gut feeling and that kind of thing. So,
well, I knew a lot prior to 2020, but in 2020 was when God really lifted the veil for us and for a lot of people. Excuse me. Sounded like a robot there. For us and many other people.
Malfunctioning robot.
Does not compute.
Error.
I am not a robot. All right, so you'll only be oppressed and spoiled forever until you die. So right here, not gonna get better, because this is the judgment. This is the punishment for disobedience.
No man shall save thee.
No man shall save thee. People put their faith in Trump, or not many people these days put their faith in Biden, but people put their faith in Trump. Look at the man's fruit. Operation Warp Speed, the snake bite, that's his fruit, along with 5G. Why would you revere someone when that's their fruit? They want to poison everyone, and they're proud of it.
It's just like I said earlier. I would hate to be a person who believed in this world, who just the for the. I mean, we're not going to pay any attention to it. We haven't for a year and a half or more. But just to note, the upcoming election, when it happens, I don't even know when it's supposed to happen.
I don't know either. It's just how much we care.
It's just gonna. I just the insanity.
Yeah.
That is going to happen with things. Oh my goodness. I mean, Trump is all over the news right now, but stay as far away from it as possible. I just can't. I can't imagine what's gonna.
Well, personally, I question whether, regardless of who wins in the next election, if we get to a next election, whether. I mean, seriously, that's how crazy it is here in the United States. But if we get to another election...
Will we even have it? And then...
Can
they handle it?
And then, whatever happens, will that next presidency actually happen? Because here in 2022, both the left and the right have threatened insurrection. Both Republicans and Democrats have said, we're going to take down the country. We're just going to destroy the whole country. So... obviously, they're both controlled opposition. 2 wings, 1 word. Do your research. Follow the money. It's pretty simple.
This series is about Pharmakeia.
Yeah.
And I forget what we were watching. We were watching it was a movie or a series, something. And what's it called? The Cervopicus? Is that it? The medical catechus. Then has the 2 snakes going up with, I think it has one head this way and one head this way, and above that is an eagle with wings. There was a picture of that in the 2 wings.
2 wings, 1 bird.
1 bird.
Yeah.
I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Just if you don't already know, the whole New World Order, Agenda 21, all of that. Technology is supposed to control everything, and at some point there won't even be politicians. So
that's technocracy. Yeah.
It is technology is starting to make. I mean, it was in full force in Mayo Clinic. It's in full force in the project that I'm working on. It's taking major money, major decisions are being made because technology says that this is the answer right now, and who knows?
Well, biblically speaking, we will never be in a 100% complete and full technocracy, though, because even at the very end, you've got 10 kings, so that means you're going to have 10 heads. So there's still going to be heads, at least, of the governments, whatever the governments end up looking like at that point in time. But the oppression and the spoiling, in other words, just the theft of removing access to everything, owning nothing, that has been laid on the hearts of the elite, of the real, the worst of the worst people in this world, so that they fulfill God's purposes. And of course, they don't know that. They have no idea because they're wicked and evil. They are delusional themselves.
They just like the cash flow that the rent creates.
Yeah. So some of them are robots. So there's that. Some of them are androids. No, really. Some of them are androids.
Yeah. What's the other operating system? There's Android.
Well, no, that's not what I mean. I mean they are androids. They are human robots. They are literally human robots. Yeah. They're not actually human beings. They are I'm not speaking figuratively. I mean, this is a robot. Go watch the creepy sci-fi movies that say, here, buy this android for a company, and they'll clean your house and do all these things, and that's what I'm talking. I'm talking about that kind of android. I'm not that kind of robot.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Verse 30.
Thou shalt, what was that word?
Betroth
A wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof.
So, adultery. That's normal today. That's normal. Build a house you won't dwell within. So loss of personal property rights. That's what I see there. I see loss of personal property rights. And you'll plant a vineyard and you won't gather the grapes. Failing crops. We're seeing failing crops, and the controllers are very open. You're gonna own nothing. Don't worry about it. We don't need you guys anymore.
Yeah, I guess there was that's actually a quote.
Yeah. We're not gonna need workers anymore because the robots are gonna do everything. Technology is gonna take care of everything. We don't really need people anymore. So, verse 31.
Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them.
Livestock removal. God's removing the livestock. That's happening right now.
Yes, and we've already mentioned it, but I'll mention it again. There is a portion of the bill that was just passed, gives like $60 billion to farmers to help remove methane. And as she alluded to, methane is a cow fart. So how you remove a cow fart? Kill a cow.
Yep, remove the cows.
So there's a lot of money there to be paid to farmers to kill their cows. Mm-hmm. There we go.
Verse 32.
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine land.
In thine hand.
I already have lack of might in my hand.
Yeah. So people are going to be physically weak, and metaphorically weak. So people won't have power anymore, and people are always protesting against something and saying, "Give me back my power." Give me back my power. Well, if you're protesting that the state give you back your power, then you must have given your power to the state, huh? How does that work? Yeah. So, but the rights that we consider to be human rights, basically, those are going to be taken away. And what is this? What is the cause of this? This is the punishment for disobedience. And we're here. We've been disobedient. Everyone's disobedient. There's none righteous, no, not one, says the Lord.
And we do our best to
try.
do things correctly. I more and more it just the fraud, the lack of trust, the conversations that I have with people, it's just it's amazing. There are some situations that come up where do you want your wife to know? Or I think she's asked occasionally, do you want your husband to know? Is it okay if your husband hears this?
And every time I'm like, what? What?
I mean, I just got asked on Friday by an insurance agent. The insurance agent asked the client, do you want your contractor to be in the room to hear the plan benefits of what you got going on here? That is because most contractors will hear that amount of money and take advantage of it. And it just creeps up in the most random of situations.
The fraud.
And it blows my mind.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously she said, yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah.
But wow, it's just everywhere.
Right. But back to the verse 32, it's about children. So children themselves are going to be taken away. But here's the thing: they really already have been. They really already have been. You got to poison those children. You got to poison your kids in order for them to legally go to prison 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, where they are brainwashed with propaganda.
I think it's raining.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Anyway, love you.
I love you too.
Yeah.
So medical freedom? No, not really. Not really. No. Freedom of choice for your children? No, not really. If you homeschool your kids, there are strings that come with that. You generally, in most states at least, you still have to get them tested. They still have to have tests and sorts of things. So you have to indoctrinate them with the lies of history that we've been told, and the lies of cosmology and all these other sorts of scientific facts, these sorts of things. So if you don't get to choose what your child learns and when, and if you don't get to choose what medically happens to your child, then how is that really even your child anymore? That's really the state's child. That's the state deciding.
Wow, she is bringing up some stuff I hadn't even thought about.
I mean, that's just, it's basic logic, though. It's basic logic.
You are correct.
You're not in control of everything that you should be in control of when it comes to your child. You should be in control of what they learn. 100%.
Absolutely, I agree. So, it is illegal not to send your kid to school in some way.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the pretty bad things can happen if it is found out that your kid is not being taught school in some way.
Yeah, you can get thrown in jail for that here in the United States.
So,
yeah. Verse 33.
The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always.
So it repeats here, oppressed. You're going to be oppressed. What did oppression mean? You'll own nothing and be happy. You'll be defrauded, exploited, abused, oppressed.
Basically, sucked of any individual power at all.
Yeah.
It came up in other videos about I forget what it was about.
Right. So you'll be oppressed and crushed always, up until the end. So I don't know why a lot of so-called Christian truthers are so confused and surprised as to why oppression is continuing today. This is not a surprise. This should not be shocking. This should not be new information here.
Doesn't make it easy to deal with, but it should not be a surprise.
Right. Yeah. So crushed, nations attacking each other when the second seal is open, nation against nation. And when it says nation against nation in Revelation, it's actually not just meaning nation states, but also meaning peoples. So blacks versus whites, gays versus straights, men versus women. I mean, you think of a topic, think of any issue that you can possibly think of, and you've got a social justice issue in there somewhere.
Oh, jeez.
So, verse 34.
So thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see.
So people are going to be insane. People are insane. People went completely bonkers in 2020, and they're continuing to be bonkers and insane now. Yeah. But we've seen nothing yet. I mean, what we have seen thus far is nothing compared to what is to come. Like, nothing at all.
I literally had someone almost bump my trailer the other day because they were getting so impatient that they could not get around me. Insane. And I saw the lady as she finally passed me, and the look on her eyes was just that of someone who was possessed.
They are possessed because if they're using Pharmakeia, then they are opening up their body to demons.
And she was just like, oh, wow.
Yep. So people are possessed. People are possessed by demons and they don't even realize it. Verse 35.
The Lord shall smite thee in the knees and in the legs with a sore botch that cannot be healed, from the sole of thy foot unto the top of thy head. Oh my.
Again, bad skin disease.
All over.
All over your
head
body.
to tail.
Head to toe.
Toe, not tail.
To tail. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Well, yeah. I'm not even going to go there. But, yeah.
There are
bad skin disease.
There are animals in Revelation that are kind of weird sounding, that have multiple things from multiple... they're just not normal looking.
Right.
So that's why she said...
No, that's not what I was thinking about. I was thinking about reprobate. People of reprobate minds sexually who are deviants and dress up like animals. And
yes,
that's
all that.
That stuff.
Just,
all that stuff.
Whoa.
Ugh.
Yeah.
You cannot be interested in that sort of thing unless you are possessed by demons. That's just the fact of the matter. So again, we have bad skin disease. What causes this? Well, aerosolized chemicals, chemical exposure, as your body attempts to detox and can't. And then also the microwave frequencies and radio frequencies as well. 36.
Verse, we continue. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone.
Well, people already serve other gods. So that's why this is happening to the world, because God's mad, and rightly so. But you're going to serve other gods. Today forward, and we're going to be moving continually towards a one world government. You're seeing that across the world, as far as I know, in every country. I don't know. I haven't looked at the news for every country. But as far as I know, every area of the world is moving in that direction. And eventually, there will be one king over them, and that will be the Antichrist king. And that's a long ways away. And when it happens, it doesn't matter what the physical body and the human being's name is going to be, because that human being is just going to be the embodiment of Satan. So people are so obsessed with the Antichrist and the mark of the beast. It's absolutely insane. It's just a distraction. It's so far away. Focus on what's coming, what's happening now. Focus on all of these other things. Focus on God and what he's doing. Don't worry about the Antichrist. Don't worry about the mark of the beast. If you actually study, then you know that the mark is not here yet, and that there's a lot that has to happen before the real thing happens. Of course, this is a precursor. Of course, it's toxic. Of course, it makes people into zombies. Yes, yes, and yes. That doesn't mean it's it, because it's not. Study your Bible. It's literally impossible.
It is hard enough to navigate when you're working with people. It is hard enough to navigate day to day, to make sure that your heart and your mind are communicating that of someone who is not of this world, the ideas and the thoughts that come from that, because people just, wow, the whole thought that this world is going to be a better place just keeps coming up and coming up and coming up, and it can be tricky to navigate. And it's for those truthers who are focused on things 20 years down the road, wake up. Figure out what's going on today, because it's going to be hard enough to navigate and make sure to find your way to heaven now versus in 20 years or whatever.
Yeah, well, just when the second seal is open, peace is taken from the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
From the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
Are you mentally and spiritually prepared for that? Are you mentally and spiritually prepared to give your life for your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? 100%? Are you 100% certain that you are prepared? Are you doing everything that you can possibly do to prepare for eternal life? Because if you are focusing on the mark of the beast and the Antichrist, then you aren't focusing on what God is requiring of you to do right now.
Mm-hmm.
You aren't focusing on prophecy that must be fulfilled before we get to that point, which is a lot. There's a lot to go before we get to that point.
Right.
So God's got requirements for us, and it's not that we focus. He does not say, you know what, you should think about the Antichrist all the time. No, he says, think about me all the time. Talk about my doings. Talk about, what I am doing in the world, and recite and meditate on my word all the time. Those are his instructions to us. So, anyways, this seems like a. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, this seems like
getting ready to listen to you.
All right, so this seems like a good point at which to stop in our study for now, and we hope that this has been a blessing to you. If so, please give this video a like. Be sure to subscribe to our new newsletter on our website, and pray for the gnats to go away. No, I'm just kidding. All right, thank you so much for being here. Have a most beautiful and blessed day.
Non-toxic out.
Whoops, I missed.